I was fresh out of the bath when someone knocked. I thought it was my husband. But when I opened the door, it was him, my stepson's friend. Wet dress. His stare. That look in his eyes. I knew his intentions, and I didn't stop him. Please don't forget to subscribe. And one request, please always keep a smile on your face. It had been a quiet afternoon, the kind that makes you crave solitude and warm water. I slipped into the tub, letting the hot bath soak into every inch of my skin. Scented bubbles floated gently across the surface, steam curling up toward the ceiling, fogging the mirror above the sink. My muscles relaxed, my eyes fluttering closed. The soft music in the background set the mood, calm, intimate, comforting. My husband, Jake, was supposed to be out until evening, helping his brother move. The house felt mine for the moment, and I cherished that little pocket of time. I needed it. Lately, Jake and I had grown distant, conversations reduced to dinner logistics and missed connections. But I didn't want to think about that. Not now. I was just slipping deeper into my thoughts when I heard it, a knock at the door. Not loud, not desperate. Just precise. I froze. Then it came again. I checked the time. Jake shouldn't be back yet. I reached for a towel, water dripping down my body. My soaked nightdress clung to my skin like melted silk. I wasn't expecting anyone, and I didn't want to answer the door like this. But something compelled me to check. I tightened the towel around my body and ran through the hallway, my feet wet and my hair sticking to my shoulders. I cracked the door open just enough to see who it was. And when I did, my heart kicked in my chest. It wasn't Jake. It was Brandon, my stepson's best friend. And he was staring at me, like he'd seen something he wasn't supposed to, but didn't want to look away from. He was tall, built in that strong but casual way, with deep hazel eyes and tousled dark hair that hung a little over his forehead. He must have just come from the gym or a game. His shirt clung to him, a little sweaty. His lips parted slightly when he saw me, his eyes flicking from my wet hair to my chest, where the soaked fabric had turned practically transparent. "Mrs. Harper," he said, blinking quickly, clearing his throat. I didn't know you were home." I felt a rush of heat that had nothing to do with the bath. I pulled the towel tighter. "I was in the bath," I said, my voice quieter than I wanted it to be. "Jake's not home. What are you doing here?" He looked nervous but didn't leave. "Mason asked me to grab his sketchpad. He left it here last night." I hesitated. It was true. Mason had been working on a class project and forgot his things. I should have told him to come back later. I should have closed the door and covered myself. But instead, I opened it wider. "Come in. It's probably still in the den." He stepped inside slowly, like he was afraid the floor might break beneath him. As he walked past me, the air shifted. I caught the faint scent of his cologne, fresh, masculine, dangerously intoxicating. I turned and led him to the den, trying to ignore the way the soaked fabric moved against my skin with every step. He searched the side table, then the couch. "Found it," he said. But he didn't leave. He just stood there, sketchpad in one hand, looking at me like he had a million thoughts going through his head and no idea which one to say out loud. "You okay?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. His eyes held mine for a moment, then dipped again to my damp body, lingering. I should have been offended. But I wasn't. Not really. Maybe because it had been so long since someone looked at me like that. Like they wanted me. "I didn't mean to stare," he said finally, voice lower now. "It's just, you look really beautiful. I've never seen you like this." His words landed on my skin like fingertips. A small part of me stirred, somewhere I had buried for a long time. "I think you should go," I whispered. But even as I said it, I didn't move. He stepped closer. "I will," he said, "if you really want me to. But can I ask you something first?" I didn't answer. I just looked up at him, unsure what I was allowing but unable to stop it. "Are you happy with him?" The question stunned me. My lips parted, but no sound came out. He didn't wait for an answer. "I see how you look when you think no one's watching," he said. "I've been coming around here for years. You always seemed like you were waiting for something. Or someone." That's not something you should be saying to me, Brandon, I replied, but my voice wavered. He stepped even closer now. I could feel the warmth from his body. His hand brushed lightly against mine as he placed the sketchpad down. My breath caught. I think about you, he confessed. More than I should. More than I ever meant to. You're Mason's friend, I said, but my protest sounded paper-thin. I know. And I didn't come here thinking anything would happen. But then I saw you, and I couldn't help it. My heart pounded against my chest. He raised his hand slowly, giving me time to stop him. But I didn't. His fingers brushed a strand of wet hair from my face. My skin burned beneath his touch. Brandon. I breathed. I won't do anything you don't want, he said, his voice close, his breath brushing my lips. But if you tell me to stop, I will. For a long moment, we just stood there, inches apart. I could feel every breath, every beat between us. I was soaked, vulnerable, confused. But also alive. Then I did something I never thought I would. I kissed him. It wasn't soft. It was full of hunger and hesitation and something that had been buried inside me for too long. He responded like he'd been waiting forever for it, his hands on my waist, pulling me gently toward him. I broke the kiss first, reality rushing back in. My chest heaved. My lips tingled. This can't happen again, I whispered. He nodded, but his eyes told me he wanted more. Even once. I'll never forget it. He turned and walked to the door. I followed him in silence, the room still pulsing with heat and what we had just done. When he left, I leaned against the door, heart still racing. Later that night, when Jake came home, he kissed me on the cheek like always. We had dinner. We watched TV. But my thoughts kept drifting, back to the boy who saw me like a woman, not someone's wife. Who asked me a question my husband hadn't asked in years. Are you happy? In the days that followed, Brandon didn't come around. Mason mentioned him in passing, but I said nothing. I tried to forget what happened, bury it like a dream that felt too good and too dangerous. But one day, I found a note slipped under the door. Just 4 words. You're still beautiful. Always. I folded it quietly and hid it in my drawer, my fingers brushing the soft edges. And from that day on, every time I looked in the mirror, I didn't just see the woman in a towel, startled and confused. I saw someone who had been wanted. Someone who had woken up. My story didn't end there. It began again, in a single knock, a single look, and a single forbidden kiss that reminded me of the woman I forgot I was. And maybe, just maybe, that's what I needed to feel alive again,